I want to thank MDK216, Corey Wright, and Stephen Colleen Clement for becoming my latest subscribers. Thank you very much. So TNA Impact took place from Cleveland, Ohio. The show started off with Brooke Tessmacher's ass. She walks up to Bully Ray and says that he has the title, he has her. Why is he so mad? Bully Ray simply says that they should go to the ring. So we see Aces and Eights come to the ring. Bully Ray gets on the mic and says that he is extremely pissed. He acknowledges that Devon is no longer with the group. He turns to the other members of Aces and Eights and wants to know what happened, starting with Garrett Bischoff. Bischoff says that he knows that Devon was a brother to Bully Ray and that he is just as mad about him being gone. Bully Ray goes to Mike Knox. Knox tells him that he was occupied with Quentin Jackson and Magnus and that he did what he was supposed to do. Wes Briscoe is next and tells Bully Ray, I don't know. Briscoe keeping it simple and limited. Finally, Bully Ray stops at Mr. Anderson and wants to know what happened with Devon. Anderson says that he doesn't know, but Devon took the same gamble that everyone else in the group took, and whatever happened, happened. Bully Ray agrees and says that it's a disappointment and that Devon is a disappointment. And then Bully Ray continues to bury Devon by saying that he was a loser, a co-star, and a sidekick. He goes on to say that he never needed Devon and that he never will. And Bully Ray says that Tito Ortiz is who he needs. And he tells Ortiz that he is getting his own vest. The other Aces and Eights members react unfavorably, particularly Anderson, who grabs another mic and tells Bully Ray that he's crazy. He basically says that a decision like this should be left up to a group vote, not one man's choice. And Bully Ray tells Anderson to stand down, and he says that he will do whatever he wants, and Anderson had better accept that or else. Bully Ray tells Brooke Tessmacher to come out, and Tessmacher comes to the ring carrying a vest. She gives Bully Ray a kiss and hands him the vest. Bully Ray holds the vest open for Ortiz to put on, but Ortiz is hesitant to do so. He finally walks up to Bully Ray, but Anderson gets in Bully Ray's face and does some jaw-jacking. Bully Ray pushes Anderson back into the ring corner and tells him to stay. Then puts the vest on Ortiz. We get a closer look at the vest and we see that it's Devon's vest. Bully Ray tears off Devon's tag, walks over to Anderson, and holds the tag in his face. Then he drops it. Bully Ray tells Anderson and the other members that if they don't like it, they can leave. And he says that he is going to relax and see who wins the Bound for Glory series because he won't have to wrestle until Bound for Glory. Bully Ray also says that he can't wait to see Hogan tonight so that he can introduce him to Tessmacher. And the segment ends there. Okay segment. The positive is that this is the best sign shown of Bully Ray no longer being a part of Aces and Eights. Even though he made the group better when he was revealed as the president, I had said months ago that Bully Ray didn't need them to be the top heel in the company. Now, maybe the chance will come for him to show that. The negative is that even if Bully Ray is no longer associated with Aces Nates, that doesn't mean that Aces Nates will break up as a group. Since Eric Bischoff is in charge of creative, the group will likely remain intact, with Mr. Anderson as the new leader. And they will continue to exist even though no one will really care. So we see Jeff Hardy backstage. Hardy talks about his situation from last year's Bound for Glory series when he beat Samoa Joe by submission to finish in the top 4. Although production showed a video clip of Hardy pinning Joe rather than making him submit. He says he is in the same spot this year as he will face Kazarian, needing to win in order to make the top 4. Hardy says that he wants revenge for Kazarian getting over on him and winning the ladder match, and he tells his creatures to mount up. Even though he has the opportunity to make it in the top 4, Hardy has still felt like an afterthought. He won the Bound for Glory series last year, so there should have been more of a focus placed on him attempting to become a repeat winner throughout the series. It's not about liking Hardy or not, it's about creative awareness. So then we see Hogan entering the building. So then we see the Bound for Glory series standings. And I noticed that Jay Bradley has 7 points. And I found out that Jay Bradley picked up those points in a Bound for Glory series match on TNA Explosion, which is the equivalent of a distant cousin to TNA Impact. Would you like to know who Jay Bradley beat to get those 7 points? Dumbass Joseph Park. So Bradley couldn't go over on Park on Impact, but on the distant cousin, no problem. Interesting. Lame, but interesting. So then we get the first Bound for Glory series match, Jeff Hardy versus Kazarian. Solid match. The match ends with Hardy locking in the figure 4 leg lock on Kazarian. Kazarian tries to reverse the hold and grabs the bottom rope, prompting the referee to break the hold. Hardy waits for Kazarian to get to his feet as Kazarian tries to shake off the effects of the figure 4. Kazarian stumbles toward Hardy, who kicks him in the midsection and tries to execute the twist of fate. However, Kazarian counters with a backslide pin attempt. Hardy escapes, but Kazarian jumps up quickly and catches Hardy with a single leg thrust kick. Kazarian goes for the pin, but Hardy kicks out. Kazarian whips Hardy from the corner, but Hardy reverses the whip. A slow charge by Hardy is met with a kick to the face by Kazarian from the other corner. Kazarian comes off the middle rope, but Hardy lands a kick to the midsection and delivers the twist of fate. Hardy goes to the top rope and comes off with the Swanton Bomb. He gets the 3. The winner of the match, Jeff Hardy. He picks up 7 points for a total of 31 points, putting him among the top 4. So then we see Mr. Anderson and the other members of Aces and Eights backstage. Garrett Bischoff wants to know what's going on with Bully Ray. He can't believe that he would feel that way about Devon after knowing him for so long, and wonders how he feels about them. Anderson wants to know when the group decided to vote on not settling club business by voting. And Wes Briscoe says that the club is just letting anyone in now. And Mike Knox points out that the club always votes, and that they voted on Anderson becoming vice president because that's how they conduct business. Anderson wraps it by saying that if Bully Ray's defiance continues, then they will have a vote about him. They clank their bottles and drink. So this only complements what I stated before about Bully Ray no longer being with aces and eights. Now, the possibility of a vote to oust him looms. So then we had the women's match. 2 out of 3 falls for the number 1 contendership to the women's championship. Gail Kim versus ODB. Okay match. The first fall ends with ODB whipping Gail across the ring, but Gail reverses the whip. ODB hits the corner, grabs the top ropes with her hands on both sides of the turnbuckle, and launches her body as Gail steps toward her, locking her in a head scissors. Gail adjusts her body and pulls ODB off the top rope by her legs, causing ODB to land hard on her knee. Gail delivers some kicks to ODB's knee and tries to drag her to the corner, but ODB shoves her into the corner with her foot. Gail hits the turnbuckle and stumbles backwards, allowing ODB to roll her up for a pin attempt. Gail kicks out and ODB tries to deliver a kick, but Gail catches her leg and sweeps ODB's other leg with her foot, causing ODB to hit the mat. Gail does a back fall to the mat, snapping ODB's knee in the process. She follows that with an elbow to the knee. Then, Gail goes outside the ring and pulls ODB's leg to the edge of the ring apron. Gail slams ODB's knee down against the edge of the ring apron. Gail pulls ODB to the middle of the ring, and ODB tries to come back with a couple of punches, but Gail kicks ODB's knee again. ODB falls to the mat, and Gail applies the Texas Cloverleaf. ODB submits. The winner of the first fall, Gail Kim. The second fall is already in progress after the commercial break. Gail has ODB's knee straddled across the middle rope and places her foot on the middle rope. She launches herself in the air and comes down on ODB's knee. Then Gail nonchalantly walks to the opposite corner, charges ODB and grabs ODB's leg as ODB lifts it in a defensive move. Gail delivers a stunner as she brings ODB's knee down on her shoulder. Gail drags ODB to the middle of the ring and attempts another Texas Cloverleaf, but ODB wraps her up in a small package and gets the pin. The winner of the second fall, ODB. The third fall and the match ends with ODB delivering a clothesline to Gail. ODB goes for the pin, but Gail kicks out. ODB limps toward Gail and picks her up for a possible attempt at her finisher, the Bam, but her weak knee cannot support the weight and she collapses to the mat. Gail lands on her feet, takes ODB down, and drapes ODB's leg around her neck, trying to make her submit by putting pressure on the knee. ODB makes it to the ropes, and Gail releases the hold. Gail attempts the eat defeat, but ODB counters by trying to execute the Bam again. Gail slips out and does a sunset flip, but ODB rolls out of the pin attempt. She grabs Gail's legs and applies a sharpshooter variation. Gail taps out. The winner of the third fall and the match, ODB. Now, the only reason that this match took place is because one can count the number of female wrestlers in TNA on a single hand. If ODB had defeated Gail Kim last week, as she should have, then ODB would be the obvious top contender for the women's championship without the need for an official number 1 contender match. The lack of female wrestlers results in needless repetition. This problem that Dixie Carter refuses to acknowledge desperately needs to be corrected soon. So then we see Velvet Sky backstage. She says that she will be cheering for ODB to beat Mickie James for the women's championship. And then she plugs the all-female one-night-only pay-per-view on September 6th, mentioning the undiscovered female talent that will be featured. She also says that the women's division is, quote, red hot, unquote. About as red hot as a cup of coffee that has been sitting out for 20 minutes. Velvet says that she wasn't at Hardcore Justice because of personal issues, and she is asked if those issues have to do with Chris Sabin. Velvet says that they have been a couple for some time, but they keep their personal and business issues separate, and then she leaves. Well, Velvet is right about the female talent on the pay-per-view, which was taped on March 17th of this year, and none of them have been signed by TNA. Why isn't Velvet talking about how her knee is doing and the possibility of facing Mickie James again for the title instead of wishing ODB luck? I know no one wants to see that match, but storyline wise, that is all the women's division has for Bound for Glory. Instead, we get this tease of a Velvet Sky Chris Sabin angle. Why? If this is leading to what I am thinking, don't do it, TNA. Don't do it. So then we see Robert Roode and Christopher Daniels backstage. And Daniels is bitching about Hogan sending down an order that if the Extraordinary Gentlemen's Organization interferes in a Bound for Glory series match, they will be removed from the Bound for Glory series completely. And since Kazarian just lost his match, he says that they are in trouble. Roode tells Daniels to relax, stating that if he beats AJ Styles and Daniels beats Austin Aries, they will both maintain their positions in the top 4. Daniels is still upset about Aries turning down the offer to join them and says that he is going to go confront Aries now. So he leaves. So then we see Austin Aries backstage with Jeremy Borash, and Aries says that if he wants to get things accomplished, he has to do those things himself. He says that despite the offer he received from the Main Event Mafia, he has to be his own man. Borash mentions that AJ Styles accepted the Main Event Mafia offer. Aries says that's fine for Styles, but he hopes that he and Styles face each other in the Bound for Glory series final match. And then Daniels enters the scene and tells Aries that choosing not to join the Gentlemen was a mistake. And then they get into a shouting match, which only leads to how important this match has just become. With Hardy's pinfall win earlier, that means only one of them will finish in the top 4. We see Hogan once again making up for his missed time, and he says that he has some announcement to make. So then we see the Main Event Mafia come to the ring, and Magnus is missing due to unforeseen circumstances. Quentin Jackson has the mic in his hand. He plugged the November 2nd fight. He plugged the November 2nd fight. He plugged the fight. Samoa Joe gets on the mic and talks about the Main Event Mafia being outnumbered last week, and that when Sting tried to find someone to join them, no one would. He says that when they came to the ring last week, one man decided to join them, and the Main Event Mafia want to recognize that man, AJ Styles. Sting gets on the mic and says that since Styles put his career on the line for the Mafia, he is someone that should be a part of the family. He offers Styles a spot if he wants it, but even if he doesn't, they want to thank him. So Sting calls out Styles. Styles comes out. In his dark persona, his hood on, his dark theme playing. He stops halfway down the ramp, and then the switch back to the old Styles happens, which I thought took place last week. He comes into the ring and takes the mic from Sting. He says that he appreciates the Main Event Mafia being there, but he needs to be alone. So the Main Event Mafia leave. Styles says that people have been wanting to know if he has joined the Main Event Mafia. He says that he hopes that the Main Event Mafia take out Aces and Eights. But the suit and tie look is not him. Styles says that he has had a problem trusting people over the last year. He says that people have turned on him and that production aired details concerning his personal life for entertainment without asking him if those details were facts. Styles says that the only person that he can trust in this business is himself. And he refers to himself by his real name, Alan Jones, which means he is about to go into shoot mode. He states that he is with no one. Styles says that people want to know why he changed, and he says that he changed because the business has changed. Styles says that he loves to wrestle, but it's still a job. He says that people can relate to him because they have jobs that they hate, and the work that they do at their jobs is not appreciated. He tells Mike Tenay that he deserves better. He turns to the camera and tells Dixie Carter that he deserves better. He tells her that he has been the man that she has always had to rely on for the last 11 years. Styles says that when the wrestler that was supposed to become the top guy in the company failed, and her new direction for the company failed, he was there to clean up the mess and continue carrying the company again. He says that there were several instances that he wished that Dixie would have fired him so that he wouldn't have to quit, but he stayed because he has a family to support. Styles says that eventually he realized that he loves being the guy that Dixie has to depend on when she needs him. And he is going to be the guy that will still carry the company. And he asks himself if he will be the guy that wins the Bound for Glory series and goes on to challenge for the world title. He drops the mic. And then Robert Roode's music plays. It was a solid promo by Styles. Yes, he started rambling at the end and the crowd let him know it. But he made his point. I don't get why Styles came out with the dark persona and then switched to the phenomenal presentation. TNA made a decision to go back to Styles being a face last week. Now they need to stick with that. None of this hybrid shit. That's not going to work. The majority of TNA fans wanted the old Styles back, and that is what TNA should go with. They can't half and half this. That promo leaned more toward dark Styles than the phenomenal one. If they wanted to keep Styles dark, then they should have waited, like I said last week. Update. Styles has signed an unspecified short-term extension with TNA. Still, full face Styles, no hybrid. So then we had the next Bound for Glory series match. AJ Styles versus Robert Roode. Solid match. The match ends with Styles on the top rope as Roode charges toward the corner. Styles leapfrogs Roode, does a roll, and comes back to Roode, delivering a standing spine buster. Styles leaps onto the middle ropes and comes off with a springboard backflip onto Roode. He makes an attempt to lock Roode up in a submission hold, but Roode kicks him across the ring. Roode goes for a clothesline and misses, allowing Styles to Pele kick Roode. Styles goes for the Styles Clash, but Roode lifts him up, propelling Styles over the top rope onto the ramp. Styles gives Roode a shoulder to the midsection through the ropes and does a springboard off the top rope, but Roode catches his arm and quickly applies the crossface. Styles gets his foot on the rope, and Roode has to break the hold. However, he pulls Styles away from the ropes and reapplies the hold. Styles counters by bridging his body back and pulling Rude's leg up for a pin attempt, but Rude kicks out. Styles rolls Rude up and locks in the calf killer, but Rude gets his hand on the rope, so the hold is broken. Styles tries to lock up Rude's legs, but Rude kicks him into the turnbuckle. As Styles turns around, Rude kicks him in the midsection and goes for a fisherman suplex. But Styles rolls him up in a small package for the 3. The winner of the match, AJ Styles. Styles picks up 7 points for a total of 29 points, leaving him 1 point short of the top 4. TNA. Did it occur to you during that creative meeting that if Styles beats Rude by submission, he would have 32 points, and that would put him in the top 4? Why would you have him win by pinfall and finish outside of the top 4? By doing this, you have telegraphed that the Bound for Glory series is not over. Even though you promoted this as Must Win Thursday. Must Win Thursday, but not really. So then we had supposedly the final Bound for Glory series match. Austin Aries versus Christopher Daniels. Good match. The match ends with Aries hip tossing Daniels over the top rope, and Daniels lands on the floor. Aries comes off the ropes and delivers a suicide dive. Aries throws Daniels in the ring and goes to the top rope. Daniels runs toward the corner, but Aries jumps over him and does a roll. Aries comes back toward Daniels, and Daniels catches him with a variation of a sit-out powerbomb. Daniels takes Aries into the corner and lifts him onto the top turnbuckle. Daniels punches him and tries to lift him by the head, but Aries delivers some elbows to Daniels' head. Aries comes off, landing a missile dropkick. He nails Daniels in the corner with a flying dropkick, then pulls him to the middle of the ring for the brainbuster. He lifts Daniels up, but Daniels escapes the attempted maneuver and executes a corkscrew neckbreaker. He goes for the pin, but Aries kicks out. The two exchange forearms, but Aries gains the advantage with consecutive forearms. Aries comes off the ropes, but Daniels lands a kick to the face, then follows with a palm thrust. As Daniels runs toward the ropes, Aries runs behind him and takes his head off with a flying dropkick. Aries executes the brainbuster successfully and gets the pin. The winner of the match, Austin Aries. Aries receives 7 points for a total of 35 points, and he moves into the top 4. So as of this moment, as Mike Tna worded it, allowing him to telegraph as well, the top 4 are Magnus with 39 points, Austin Aries with 35 points, Robert Roode with 34 points, and Jeff Hardy with 31 points. So then we see Bully Ray backstage with Brooke Tessmacher and Tito Ortiz. And Bully Ray says that he has Hogan where he wants him. And he wants Ortiz to watch out for Mr. Anderson and take care of him if he disrupts anything. Ortiz accepts the order, and Bully Ray and Tessmacher head to the ring. So then we see Hogan come to the ring. God. Hogan says that it sounds like the people have missed him. Only your snake oil followers. Hogan says that he has been busy, but he is glad to be back on Impact wearing his new sneakers. Hogan is actually putting over his shoes. So Hogan tells production to put the Bound for Glory series standings on the big screen. Hogan says that he met with Spike TV executives And they decided to continue the Bound for Glory series with one more match. A gauntlet match for 20 points. Hogan says that he has more business, but then Bully Ray comes out accompanied by Brooke Tessmacher. Bully Ray tells Hogan that during Hogan's absence, he won the title back. Bully Ray wants to introduce Tessmacher to Hogan, but Hogan shuts him down. Now let me trim the bullshit from this segment and try to relay whatever has some importance. Bully Ray tells Hogan that he doesn't need to do anything until Bound for Glory. Hogan tells Bully Ray that he will defend the world title at No Surrender against a member of Aces and Eights. Even though Hogan said Aces of Eights. Bully Ray says that he's not going to do it. Hogan then says that Bully Ray will defend the title next week against Sting. Sting comes out. He and Bully Ray exchange punches. Sting gains the advantage and clotheslines Bully Ray. Bully Ray leaves the ring and cowers in the ringside corner with Tessmacher on his lap. Show ends. Why is there a gauntlet match being held next week for no reason? The winner of this gauntlet match, in which spoilers are not needed because it's that obvious, would have already been in the top 4 had he won his match by submission rather than pinfall. This simple creative move that a 12-year-old could figure out would have allowed TNA to start promoting the individuals in the Bound for Glory series semifinal matches before the actual pairings are announced. Instead, a week of building is lost because of creative incompetence. Bully Ray faces an Aces and Eights member at No Surrender for the title. Once again, here is another obvious answer that should have been revealed this week. Why not just say that it will be Mr. Anderson that will face Bully Ray so that the build for that match can start now rather than making it official a week later? Bully Ray versus Sting. Why? It will not be a title match. So what does Bully Ray have to gain by beating Sting in a non-title match? Nothing. What does Sting have to gain by beating Bully Ray in a non-title match when he cannot receive a title shot ever again? Nothing. So why is this match happening? Hogan putting more value into his shoes than his decision making. He's back and he's doing work, but not in a good way. I'm Tazmart 2002, and that was my TNA Impact Analysis for August 29th, 2013. If you're listening to me on YouTube, please leave your comments below. Click the like or dislike button. And if you subscribe, I will really appreciate it. If you're listening to me on the Wrestling News Talk Facebook page, please leave your comments below and click the like button if you like what I've been saying. If you have any questions about TNA or wrestling in general that you would like for me to answer, you can contact me on Twitter, Tazmark2002. That's TAZMARK 2002. And if your comments exceed the 140, send me an email, Tazmart2002 at gmail.com. Solid show with extremely questionable booking. Quentin Jackson and Tito Ortiz appeared together on ESPN programming recently to promote their Bellator fight on November 2nd. They appeared twice on SportsCenter, First Take, and MMA Live. Neither one of them mentioned TNA. That's no surprise, because neither one of them cares about TNA. What is the length of time that will pass without someone in TNA saying how much it sucks to have to follow orders and promote Bellator, yet have TNA not be promoted by Bellator? Someone speaking anonymously, of course. Or would someone have the balls to say it publicly? If that happens, that would be a surprise. I'm Tazmart 2002. Gone.